Well, guys, it looks like retirement from YouTube lasted all of 2 days. Yeah, I just couldn't stay away from you people, and you know what? I still love doing this. There's no way I'm leaving anytime soon. So, let's get back to where we left off. You'll see the rotating display tray is now in play again. Apparently, it's in this thing's contract to appear in all of the TJ Reviews episodes, and it missed last week's. So, yeah, I am contractually obligated to fit it in this time. But contract disputes aside, welcome to my review of the Legends series Joint Gattai figures for the new Go-Onger toy line. Now, this is a Legends line. Just like the triple change belt that I already reviewed, it is a very simplified budget line, so do not expect full details or paint apps. This is for simplicity. As you can see here, we have the mecha from Gao Ranger. We start, of course, with Gao Lion. How could you start with anyone else here? Now, you can see, because of the simplification of the toy, he did take quite a hit. He's got a big block in his chest now in order to create the waist section of the main toy. I don't have him, so I don't know how inaccurate this is. It's definitely a lot cleaner on the real thing, though. But you can still see everything else is molded in. Rear legs, you can even see a little bit of the tail, as well as a little bit of paint apps here on the side of the legs and the claws. The head's pretty much spot on. You've got the lion's mane going and the green eyes. I kind of wish the mouth was painted, but again, Legends series. You can't ask for much here. Now, of course, the big problem here is because of the transformation system in this one, you've got a huge gap in the back, but it's not too bad. How about Gao Eagle? This one looks pretty drastically different and is lacking a lot of the features like being able to stand up and fold its wings, but all things considered, it's looking pretty good. I mean, it looks like an eagle. It accomplishes its goal of imitating the larger Zord or Mecha. I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to call a Sentai Zord. If I confuse the terminology, I'm American. I just grew up with Zords. The paint apps here consist of the silver on the back as well as a lot of detailing on the head, right down to the little green gem, the silver beak, and the red eyes. Now, not much more to say about that. It's the smallest of the Gao animals, and it has a face on its butt. And that's about all I can say. It's a pretty decent job, all things considered. I mean, there are so many limitations with this series. But you have to keep that in mind. For those limitations, good job. Here we have Gao Bison. He probably took the hardest hit here. You can definitely see his body is stretched out. It's kind of out of proportion. You got a big old bison butt on him. But a lot of the details are still accurate. The hollow sides on his horns, that's intentional. The DX version has that too. You can see the green eyes painted on there, a little bit of silver, the big hooves painted on. No hooves in the rear, since those will have to form his feet now for the simplified transformation. He's definitely the biggest one in the whole set, though. He's got that going for him. Gao Shark is actually pretty accurate. I mean, even right down to where the sockets are, there are spherical designs on the original, so it kind of works out that way. You've pretty much got everything going for it. It doesn't have the twisting body gimmick, but you do have some gold on the gills, big silver on the head, and a little bit more gold on the eyes for a little bit of detail. It works out pretty well. I mean, it definitely looks like Gao Shark, and of all five, he probably comes out the cleanest and most accurate. Very nicely done. And that leaves us with Gao Tiger. This one you would think would be out of proportion with the stumpy legs and huge head. You'd think this would be inaccurate. Not really. The original had that huge head too, and while the legs weren't that stumpy, they still had a good bit of stump to them. You can see a little bit of detailing on the top for the full Gattai mode, and a little bit of the pink striping has made its way onto the Legends toy, as well as a bunch of black on the head and the yellow eyes. So, what is the big deal behind these five? What makes all of these worth all of this sacrifice? Simply this. Complete breakdown! Now, for those who knew what those joints were, you kind of saw this one coming. All of these different sockets and pegs that you can see all over this toy, these are Mugenbine joints. Remember when I reviewed Mugenbine toys? Same gimmick exactly, right down to the size of the peg. If I were to break them out, I could actually combine these with my old Mugenbine toys that I've already reviewed. Now this does add a little bit of simplicity to the design. Nothing hinges. It all comes apart and reconnects onto different sockets and pegs. And it also allows a lot more freedom in toy playability. If I want a lion with a shark head, I can have that. If I want some kind of freakish lion with big chimera heads coming off, I can do that. I can, well, let's see. Well, can't make them winged, but, oh, I can't have everything. I can make a winged tiger, though. Let's make a winged tiger. You know, the whole point of this gimmick is to basically have fun. I mean, the Mugenbine gimmick is basically Lego for giant robots. You can do whatever your imagination allows you to, as long as the sockets and pegs are there. And, well, this is just simple stuff. Imagine what you could do with 2 or 4 or 6 of these sets. I mean, it's kind of devilish that way. Now, they all work on these clear sockets on the inside. Normally, I don't recommend any kind of stress-bearing clear plastic, but clear plastic also flexes best. So, in this case, I'm okay with it. But what kind of Gao King does this create? Well, let me combine. Behold Gao King, otherwise known as the Wild Force Megazord. For a Legends series figure, he's looking really nice. There is an advantage to the way that this series combines, since it doesn't have any hinges and it has a little bit more freedom as far as proportions go. You've got a lot more accuracy to the show. This is a very nice looking, very well proportioned figure. Now, just like any of the Megazords, the articulation is limited, though because of the gimmick you do have a little bit more than you normally would. Just like always, the only main one is the shoulder. Though I am happy that they are at a pre-aligned angle, same as the legs, so it looks a little bit more natural and dynamic. But at the same time, you've also got joints like, well, I suppose on the original these heads could turn, so could the shark here. So you have a little bit of rotation there. I know the head didn't rotate though, so you've got a little bit more playability there. So this thing is going to be a heavy posing one, but you know what Megazord is, or at least what Megazord that can actually combine together. Even if I got the really big expensive ones, I wouldn't expect that much more. I mean, really. I mean, despite having a simplified transformation, it doesn't really have any kibble or signs of it. Now the problem with this is, since it uses the Mugenbine gimmick, it's really limited on its own. To really demonstrate what it can do, I'm going to need more than one. Let's see, do I have any others anywhere? Oh, you'll do. We move on to something a little bit more modern with the engines from Go-Onger. I know as a Sentai this wasn't very popular, but the actual Power Rangers series RPM kicked ass, so we are going to review it based on those credits alone. We start with Speedor, of course, the leader of the group, and as the leader and as the main piece of the eventual Megazord mech, whatever you prefer to call it, he does have the lion's share of paint apps going on. Now, you can see where the simplification happened. His head doesn't fold over to make the full engine block, so it just kind of sticks up a little high there. And his arms don't fold in, which means there's also no flight mode. But, small sacrifices, it actually makes a pretty decent looking Speedor. You've got the racing stripes going across, the windshield or whatever, I guess that's supposed to be windshield up there, since this is supposed to be a race car of some sort. Eyes very fiercely painted, beak, nice goal, and little Go-Onger logo right there on the top. You've got a lot going on here, and unfortunately, due to simplification, no rolling wheels. None of them have rolling wheels. You're not going to do much rolling with these anyway, that's not the point of the toys. So, yeah, he doesn't have much sacrificed overall. That's one advantage this set has over Gao King. Because there's only 3 components, they get simplified a lot less and end up looking far more accurate. We see Bus on here, where most of the paint apps, again, located in the face. You got his fangs or tusks, whatever, and the nose all painted silver, the eyes painted, and the gold on the ears. Again, the Bandai gold. I love it. And oh, I love the Bandai silver too, and it's all the way across the side. You can tell he's a little bit scrunched down. All the wheels have been pushed back here so that this piece could be independent for the robot mode. Overall, he doesn't sacrifice too much. And if you have the original toy, I'm sure you can point out everything that looks a little bit off. I can tell It's a little out of proportion when you look at it from the top down. But otherwise, yeah, not too bad. I dig it. And of course, the smallest of the group, Bear RV, who is barely a bear and not an RV in any way. She is an off-road vehicle of some kind. And because she is such a simplified toy to begin with, she really doesn't have much to lose here. Her face has been completely painted. The ears, you can see, have the black, as well as the brown for the windshield. Eyes, nicely painted, with the eyelids in the silver I love so much. Now, yeah, the wheels and the sides lose a little bit of paint, but otherwise, yeah, she's probably the most accurate to the original toys out of any one of these so far. Now, chalk it up to starting off by being a simplistic design. So, that is the engine set. So, I guess now we have to combine, don't we? The engines break down into fewer component parts, but there is an advantage to that too, as they tend to be a lot more solid than the ones that break down into dozens and dozens of little itty-bitty pieces, which generally can't hold much weight and don't have much structure to them. You do get an even dozen parts out of the set, and you do get some very solid ones. You know, the legs I find very useful. The shield, which is actually one big piece, and that is exactly how the shield was in Go-Onger, so this does come in handy if you can combine it in any way. And, well, you've got a lot going on here. And thus we complete Engine-O, or the RPM Megazord, the totem pole of the Megazord family. Now, I do know a lot of people don't like how goofy this design looks with the 3 anime-esque animal faces pointing out, and Bear RV unfortunately squashed between the 2 huge vehicles. I don't know, this design really kind of started appealing to me the more I looked at it, especially because it's far more solid than a lot of Megazords tend to be, simply because it has so many fewer components going into it. You've got these really wide, sharp shoulders that I really like. You've got big, beefy legs that look powerful. The only thing that really gets to you is the fact that you've got 6 eyes staring at you all at once. And just to be sure here, because I really like the paint job on here, you also have the Go-Onger logo painted on the head. All the pipes from the engine mode are painted in gold, a lot of silver going into it to make it look right. And of course the face is intricately painted as well. So I guess technically you've got 8 eyes staring at you, so we can call this the Spider Megazord as well, whatever you prefer. Again, the articulation is a little bit better because of the Mugenbine joints in use. The head does articulate. Of course the arms do as well, and again, I appreciate the more natural angle that everything has. You also get the advantage of a bicep swivel with this one, which, when a Megazord usually only has 2 points of articulation, you take anything you can get. And that is one of my favorite pieces of articulation to include, if ever the opportunity comes up. So this is pretty much it. As a Legends toy, I mean, of course, it's a Megazord, so once you see it and see how little it moves around, that's pretty much it. And the Legends figures pretty much rely on that Mugenbine gimmick. So, we have 2 of this set. Now, because we've only got 2, there's only so much I can do, so I'll just do the basic one. Now, and while I take these things apart and demonstrate, I'll tell you a little bit more here. These things are about 7 inches tall. Those who see them in person in package always cite them as looking very small. That's because their legs, for some reason, are packaged separately. They're not attached to the toy in box. I don't know why. It's just odd that way. But at 7 inches, they don't really get very intrusive. I mean, they're very small, compact, they're easy to display on shelves. So once you have a ton of these, you can put a lot of them on a single shelf and it would look absolutely epic. Can you imagine having a ton of these little Megazords just standing all together, just imposing, ready to destroy pretty much anything in their path, as long as it's evil? I mean, I'm really looking forward to, having like a dozen of these guys stacked up on top of each other. Also, there's the fact that, well, they're cheap, affordable, and you can pretty much do anything your mind can come up with. This is a pretty simple one, and I admit, Gao King does come out far better. Gao King looks awesome with these Go-Onger parts attached to him. I mean, I'll give you a quick shot of the head, too. Very tiny face in that crown. Everything is painted correctly, because I forgot to do this in robot mode, so there you go. There's the face, just in case anyone was upset that I missed it. You definitely tell he came out kind of squat. But he has its own little charm to it, too. He's got more animal heads to stare at you now. Hey, we're up to 12 eyes on this toy. This is what I like. This is what makes me really excited about the line, because you can pretty much do anything your mind imagines. You can combine Zords from completely different eras that were never meant to ever combine before. Combinations of Megazords you only dreamed of in fanfics are now possible. And because this is Mugenbine, the more you have, the better each toy gets. And the more worthwhile the next purchase is, because you've already got so many it can combine with. It is a devilish marketing scheme. But you know what? It is one I am a sucker for. And I really cannot wait for more to come out in this line. Overall, I really can't recommend these guys enough. They are just fun to goof around with, and just when you're in a building mood, it doesn't get any better than Mugenbine. And this is Mugenbine and Super Sentai combined. I couldn't have dreamed about a toy combination that awesome. Yes, they're simplified, but the gimmick they share and the playability it will provide when there's more of these is so worth it. Of course, my importer of choice is Hobby Link Japan. As of this review, however, Gao King was sold out. You can still pick up Engine-O as of this recording, and these are brand new toys, so check back. Gao King might come back. And there are also always pre-orders for the next ones. Gao Ranger Robo is coming out, along with Magi King, and they both look great. Magi King can still form his dragon mode, believe it or not. But I think it's Series 3 that's going to get most of you into this line, just because of the choices they went with. And I'm not spoiling it, you're going to have to find out for yourself. So, that is my review. Here, you will mind, I just want to get a head start on taking down the set here. But remember, no clues. I'm not telling you people which 2 Megazords are going to be on the third wave of this series. You just have to find out for yourself. Good luck!